Hi, I'm Tom Spiggle with the Spiggle Law Firm, where we represent people who have been fired or afraid that they might be. I am thrilled to be joined today by Ashley Wilson, who is an attorney in my office. Welcome, Ashley.
Hi there. Lovely to be here.
Yeah, good. Well, I know you've been reviewing the news the past couple of days to kind of think what would be interesting, cutting edge that's going on for the area of employment law. So, what you got for me this morning?
Well, something I found interesting came out just last Friday. It was a story about a employee. A young man is appealing to the Supreme Court, hoping that they'll weigh in on a case where he was fired. He believes that he was fired based on his gender. And so he was a store manager at the retail store Urban Outfitters, and they had security at this store. It was a store that had some problems with shoplifting, with stealing, because it was in a large area. And when security would go home before the end of the day, they had him act as the security. They would post him up front and expect him to sort of act like security, but he was a store manager. At one point, he ended up being attacked with pepper spray while at work, and he says he was diagnosed with PTSD due to that event, and he no longer wanted to act in this role. But he noticed that they would never ask the females to act in this role, and he thought, that doesn't seem fair. If it's a store manager role, then how come the women don't have to do it even though they're store managers? And at one point, somebody pulled a taser, and he ended up running to the back. He didn't fight off the person with the taser, and that's why he alleges that he was fired. And I think, that's something that is interesting. I think a lot of people, when they think about suing under the Civil Rights Act, they think about, of course, there's historically disadvantaged groups. But even though he's a male that's considered a historically advantaged group, they were treating him in an unfavorable manner because of his gender. And it's sort of this idea that gender norms can be harmful to everybody because they're expecting he's a guy, he should be the protector, he should, I don't know what they wanted him to do, fight off somebody with a taser. So he's appealing to the Supreme Court. He had an unfavorable decision in lower court saying that he didn't face discrimination, and he is appealing to the Supreme Court now, thinking that, hopefully he'll get a better result for him.
Yeah, I think that's a fascinating story, and I think it brings up a great point just about as you raised about gender discrimination, sex-based discrimination, is that it applies to right men and women, and it doesn't have to be something. It can be gender stereotyping, right? Just like you pointed out, like, hey, men should be tough and should fight people off, and so you should be able to be a security guard. And we're not going to ask the women to do that because, and I don't know all the facts of this case, but this is how it might occur. We're not going to ask the women to do that because they're frail and they're not, knuckle draggers like men. That's gender-based discrimination, and it sounds like he lost at the lower courts. I'm sure there are other things that are going on, but that's a great example of, and to change the facts a little bit, the store probably would not have violated the law if it asked all of its employees to do that, right? Like
Exactly.
men, women, everybody's got to take a turn being security guard. Now, one can one could debate whether or not, I don't think it's even debate whether that's good management practice to ask your employees who are not trained security guards to pull security detail for your store. I don't know how many people you're going to get to take that job. But if the employer had said, hey, this is a job requirement for everybody in the store, where everybody takes a turn, then there may be other violations of the law, but there wouldn't be a sex-based discrimination angle. So I think that's an interesting story.
Yeah. Well, that's another thing I was thinking is he's a store manager for a retail store. I don't think he's signed up to be security and to face people who, had mace or who had tasers or, potential weapons who meant harm to the store. And the store did have security guards posted. For some reason, these security cards would be posted until the last hour of the day, and then they would go home. And so that's when he had to take over as security when they would go home. So it feels like the employer knew that there was some potential security issue or security threat. And I'm not sure, I couldn't find out why they had the security guards leave it before the end of the day, because then that's when this young man was attacked with mace and ended up, he says he has PTSD from it. and that affected his job as well. He says that he wasn't able to act in that position. It gave him extreme anxiety and flashbacks to the attack. And so when somebody pulls out a taser, he has a PTSD sort of trauma response from something that happened at work.
Yeah,
And
crazy. Maybe they were trying not to pay overtime to these security guards. I mean, who knows? That's things that crazy things that some employers do. What is if you have it in front of you, what's the name of the case?
the name of the case, so I don't have the name, it is, but you can find it by searching for Urban Outfitters fires man for acting as security.
Perfect, perfect. All right, Ashley, thank you so much. That was an interesting story for folks today. I hope people find it helpful.
All right, thank you so much
Take
for
care.
having me.